a yummy Yin Yoga sequence today to help that tight lower back feel a little bit better. Hi, welcome to Wealthy Boss. My name's Mariah. I teach barre, yoga, Pilates, and meditation. So if you're into that kind of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I do bring new workouts and yoga series every single week. So today is not necessarily a workout, it's really a series of stretches to help elongate the spine. Now, it is going to feel really good if you have general back achiness or stiffness or SI joint dysfunction, but always want to check with your doc to make sure that you are cleared to do the type of movements. For example, certain spinal conditions like osteoporosis and a couple of other things, you want to avoid twists. We will be doing twists in this, so just make sure you have your docs okay. You don't really need any fancy yoga props for this. I'm going to be utilizing just a throw pillow. If you have a yoga bolster, that's great. Or if you want to grab a couple of pillows from your bed or couch, that will do the trick. Now, let's get you feeling good.
We'll come on to our bellies to begin, starting our Yin series with Sphinx pose. So with our Sphinx pose, it's similar to an upward facing dog. We're going to leave our elbows on the ground and as well as our thighs. The most important thing here with our Sphinx pose is we want to think about opening up in the collarbones. So elbows are just kind of lightly right underneath the shoulders. We really think about lifting in the heart, and as we do that, you feel an elongation along the low back. So it's like we're kind of stretching the back end to end by lifting it through the heart. So we do have some shoulder stability here. This is not an entirely passive pose, but we really want to think about stretching in that low back, just really releasing any tightness or tension. We'll begin to remind ourselves of the role that breath plays in yoga as we take some deeper inhales and exhales through the nose. Feeling that breath as it enters into the body, imagining it elongating the spine, enlivening any tissue that feels stuck. And again, notice if you feel yourself kind of collapsing in the shoulders. We do want to stay active in the shoulders for today's pose. So by remaining stable and active with the shoulders, we're allowing that spine to really let go, open up, bending backwards here, whereas so much of our daily activity places stress on the spine in the opposite direction. So how many times do we find ourselves kind of slouching forward? This is allowing ourselves to open up and just let go of any muscular tension or muscular engagement in the low back. Shoulders here, supporting everything. Continue to lift in the collarbones, broaden the chest. So you're thinking about rolling the backs of your shoulders further towards the wall behind you. Really sending your focus and your energy to the sensation of relaxation along the low back, the spine, along the muscles that line either side of the spine. We get about 20 more seconds. Lift with the chest and let go with the back. Perfect. Now rocking the weight once again into your hands, we're going to kind of stretch the arms forward as we come into our puppy pose. Now we're leaving the bottom kind of up in the air for this one. So it's different from the child's pose where the hips would come down. We're leaving the bottom in the air so that we can really elongate in the spine here and drop the chest down. If this feels uncomfortable, if you're feeling tight in the chest and shoulders, you could take your forehead to the pillow, a blanket or a block, something to make it feel a little bit more elevated, as long as you're not lifting the chin. Otherwise, forehead's on the mat. So we have just the slightest little bit of a pull from the belly button into the back so that we're not hyperextending here, but we're just letting that chest really serve to kind of drape down onto the ground as we feel the vertebrae just ever so slightly pulling apart. See if you can let go and relax in the low back. This is a great way to open the chest and shoulders too, and of course if we're tight there, that can tend to again, encourage the bad habits of slouching in our posture. So sometimes opening up the chest and shoulders is going to encourage us to keep those healthy spinal habits here upright. Seeing if you can let go a little bit more here for quite a while longer. Feeling the smoothness of the breath as it comes in and out. Even though you may feel a little bit of constriction if your nose is pressing into the mat. Continue to breathe through that. Taking this time to unwind any tension. I always feel like the more alert we are, the more on edge, the more guarded we are, the more those low back muscles are just tensing up, like they're just ready for action. So now we want to give them permission to take a rest. About another 20 seconds, take some nice deep breaths. And then slowly just take it back to just a couple of breaths in child's pose as a transition, setting those hips all the way back towards the heels, just a little rounding forward. Perfect. And go ahead and press up onto all fours. We're going to get situated now along the wide side of the mat. So I'm going to turn to that long edge of your mat. This is where we grab that bolster or that long pillow or pillow sham from your bed if you need it. Most of us are here, and because this is going to be a little bit longer of a posture, I'm going to suggest that you have that prop. So taking the right leg out like we were going to do a straddle, the left foot actually tucks in. We'll spread that pillow out or bolster, whatever you have, over the length of the leg, and then most of us are still going to need a little extra support here by relaxing the head into the bottom arm. Prop that up, top arm comes up and over. So by having that opposite foot kind of tucked in, we're adding a little bit of weight to anchor the hip down. This will serve to give us a little bit deeper of a side stretch, make it a little bit more effective. Now we're stretching the side of our bodies here, but I find that especially if you experience a lot of like real low back stiffness from either standing too much or sitting too much too, or even overactivity can sometimes really be exacerbated when we have tightness along that side body. So especially if you find yourself, for example, like in a spinal twist on the ground and you find that you don't have as much flexibility as you'd like to take that knee over across the body, then it could mean that you're a little bit tight here in the side body, and that could actually be causing problems all the way kind of wrapping back up into the spine. And be mindful of the shoulder positioning here. We don't want to have the shoulder way up here, just kind of relaxing it back. We're still thinking about kind of spiraling that heart up to the sky. So the side body is a place that a lot of us collect tension without realizing it. You may not complain necessarily that your side feels tight or stiff, but more than likely it's showing up as stiffness in another part of the body, like in the back or even into the neck. Everything though, you may even feel a little bit of tingling if you're really tight, kind of underneath the shoulder. All good, your body's just moving through it. Seeing if you can really let go of any muscular engagement with the neck, just kind of letting that bottom hold everything up. Thinking about sending that left hip heavy into the ground. 5 more deep breaths here, feeling the space between the ribs separate, elongate. And then that top arm will come down first, just lifting your head up with that bottom hand. Take your time to move over to the other side. We're always a little bit more vulnerable right after an intense stretch, so move slowly, extending that leg out, tucking the opposite foot in, kind of positioning that elbow underneath us, making sure we're not putting direct pressure on the kneecap underneath us. And then stretching, reaching, reaching, reaching. Drop the shoulder and then rotate the heart a little bit up towards the sky. Thinking about sending that right hip heavy into the ground. How about that breath? Let's return to some long, slow, deep breath, even though it might feel like you're constricting a little bit around the back of the ribs. It's actually furthering the stretch that we get in those intercostals. Letting go of any type of muscular engagement in your neck. Your hand is just supporting, holding that head. Everything get a little bit longer, a little bit looser, more pliable. All the while the breath is serving to enhance this process, enhance relaxation. Five deep, deep breaths here. Slow, unhurried. Taking that top arm down, pressing the head up with that bottom hand. We're going to position that pillow behind us now as we take the legs together again. So knees are bent slightly wider than hip width distance. I'd like you to drop both knees over to the right, and then you're going to rotate, taking your chest onto the pillow. Now, if this feels too intense, you can always elevate by adding either another pillow. You can stack some blankets or yoga blocks or kind of whatever you have underneath you, telephone books, whatever you have underneath you, until you feel like you can just completely melt into this. So depending on how long your bolster or your pillow is, you can either take your face directly down over the edge, or you can take one cheek, whatever's comfortable here on your neck. You don't feel any distraction of being uncomfortable here in the upper body. Feeling that beautiful twist and elongation, so we're both stretching from end to end as well as side to side here. So just really imagine your hips getting even heavier into the mat. You're going to get a little bit more distance in the thoracic spine, to the lumbar, cross from the front of the body to the back. Making any subtle adjustments you need here to just completely drop in. Body gets more and more still, feel the mind following suit. Picturing the cells repairing and regenerating. Accepting and receiving the healing work of the body. carefully, taking the strength back again into the arms, locking yourself up. Take your time, press up, knees spin forward, and then from that seated position, we'll drop both knees over to the opposite direction, and then gently make our way into a twist on the other side. So we're turning chest from the other way around. Again, just kind of setting up your props with your chin or your cheek, however is most comfortable for you, making sure you can still breathe, of course. Settling into it, noticing if side one is easier or harder than side two. Melt even more in your body and in your mind. Nothing to do here except to receive and heal. Gaining a whole new body in the process. A whole new spirit as well. Let the breath flow gently in, even more gently out. And slowly pressing the weight back into your hands, start to prop yourself up using the strength of the arms. We're going to take that pillow or bolster away from us as we come all the way onto our back. Our final position is just drawing our knees into our chest. Now we do want to think about lengthening the tailbone away as we actively draw the arms in towards the chest to find even more space in the spine. Feeling the ribs press into the tops of the thighs as we deeply breathe in the nose. Out through the nose, let everything just collapse in. Exhale, see if you can send the tailbone a little bit further towards that far edge of the mat. Create space between the vertebrae. Unlocking the tension jammed in through repetitive movement or by sitting or standing. Gently begin to circle knees in clockwise motion.
I hope you feel a little bit better. If you do, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a comment below. If you suffer from lower back pain as kind of an ongoing thing, I would love to share a little bit more about what I've learned as someone who's kind of dealt with the same thing. Stretching is a super important component of making our backs feel free and healthy for the long term. But there's a couple other components as well to really make sure that we are covering all our bases to feel symmetrical and balanced and good with our lower back. So I invite you to download my free ebook, Back BLISS, 3 Yoga and Pilates Essentials for freeing your lower back. And I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about that. Thank you again.